Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits. Reach personal success on a daily basis. And today's show is titled Breaking Free, Overcoming Limiting Beliefs for Personal Growth. This podcast is dedicated to helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and achieve personal growth. I'm Davida Shinsky, your host, and today we're diving into the powerful world of limiting beliefs. And the title is Breaking Free, Overcoming Limiting Beliefs for Personal Growth. Remember this. You have to be the one to decide whether or not you're going to put the brakes on or whether or not you're going to go and get beyond those limiting beliefs. So, limiting beliefs are those pesky thoughts that hold us back from reaching our full potential. They often whisper to us that we're not good enough, smart enough, or deserving of success. So today, we'll explore these steps and beliefs to provide practical strategies to break free from their grip. So let's first get started by defining what limiting beliefs are. Simply put, limiting beliefs are conversations that constrain our actions and thoughts. They're the internal narratives that say, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, or I'm too old or young to start something new. And these beliefs often operate under the radar, shaping our behavior and decisions. So, how do we recognize and identify our own limiting beliefs? Here are a few methods. And why we're going to discuss this is very, very simple. Limiting beliefs create situations where we tend to not allow others to decide for us exactly where we want to be or how we want to take our lives. And when you look at limiting beliefs, remember this, that it's up to you to make your decisions on exactly how you're going to look at your life, live your life, and take it in the direction that you want to be. So why not just look at it and think of it in certain ways that can truly help you get where you want to be, and look at how to recognize and see things in a way that can truly help you get exactly what it is that you want and how you want to get there. So, a great start in identifying limiting beliefs are this: self-reflection exercises. Set aside a dedicated time to reflect on specific areas of your life where you feel stagnant or unfulfilled. Ask yourself probing questions like, what beliefs are keeping me in this situation? Or what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? By questioning your own thoughts and behaviors, you begin to uncover the beliefs that may be holding you back. Now, look at this. Journaling is a powerful tool for identifying limiting beliefs. Start by writing about situations where you felt challenged or unworthy. Ask yourself, what did I believe about myself in that moment? Look for patterns in your writing, such as recurring phrases like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. These thoughts may reveal deep seated beliefs about your ability and your potential. And what I also want to do is look at some of these things in ways to show you how many a times what happens is that we tend to see things in a way that others may not. But what happens is it's a situation where we have done things in a way that we allow others to dictate how we live, what level we go at. And often it's not always easy to get beyond those situations and where it is that you are and where it is that you do definitely want to be. Therefore, it's up to you to decide exactly where you expect to be in your life. So, let's look at journaling prompts. Journaling is a powerful tool for identifying those limiting beliefs. I'm going to start by telling you this. Sometimes many of your limiting beliefs happen because when you're a young child, older people will tell you certain things that are negative or positive. And what happens is you start to internalize those things. When you internalize them, you start repeating them over and over because you're hearing them in your head. So by journaling, it helps you become much more aware of where you're at and what you're feeling. So, journaling is a powerful tool for identifying limiting beliefs. Start by writing about situations where you felt challenged or unworthy. Ask yourself, what did I believe about myself in that moment? Look for patterns in your writing, such as recurring phrases like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. These thoughts may reveal deep seated beliefs about your abilities and potential. Think about when you were in school and maybe you were struggling at a point and someone started telling you, oh, you just can't do that, so don't even waste your time trying. And then what happens is you begin to believe that and you don't even try it. So another thing to think about is listening to feedback from others. Often, the people around us can identify our limiting beliefs better than we can. Trusted friends, family members, or mentors can offer valuable insights by pointing out where you may be underestimating yourself. Listen to their feedback and notice if you tend to discuss compliments or opportunities. This resistance can signal a belief that you're not capable or deserving. So, would you like me to elaborate further or add additional techniques for overcoming limiting beliefs? Because that is very important. And now, let's talk about some of the limiting beliefs and where they come from. Because understanding the origins of our limiting beliefs can be powerful step in overcoming them. And these beliefs often stem from various sources, such as childhood experiences. And that's what I've been talking about when I talk about the things that you say and how you say them or don't say them. And often those things are important to understand simply because where you are today and where you want to be in the future can often be determined from the things that happened to you in the past. Therefore, think about it. Think about all those things and what it has done to you. So here's some things: childhood experiences, messages we receive from parents, teachers, or peers during our formative years can deeply influence our self perception. And some examples are from your parents: you're not good at that. Let your siblings handle it. Why can't you be more like another child? Think about Johnny or Mary or whatever it is your sister's name. Think about how many times your parents would say that. You'll never make a living doing that. And you just don't know how many times I heard that. Stop dreaming and be realistic. You're too shy to be successful. What about from a teacher? You're not cut out for advanced classes. You should stick to easier subjects. You'll never be good at math or science or English. Don't aim too high. It's better to set achievable goals. Your, your ideas are too unrealistic. Well, often we don't realize that what we can do, someone else can do. And they're afraid to see you succeed because it blows up in their faces what they are reluctant to try to do. You're too weird to fit in. You're not smart enough to join our group. Why do you even try? You'll never be good at it. Nobody likes you because you're too different. You always mess things up. These messages, often delivered with unintended negative impact, can deeply influence a child's self perception and contribute to formative limiting beliefs that persist into adulthood, societal and cultural influences. And I think this is something that we need to really look at, simply because when you think of the things that you can do and the things that you can't do, think of it as those things that you should at least try. The problem is that for some of us, we don't even want to try. And I'm going to tell you something, that we all have different types of behavioral patterns. Some are outgoing, some are very reserved. And we have all of these patterns within us, but some are our strengths and some of our weaknesses. And when we understand that, we learn to move between them. And when we move between them, then we're able to make it all put together in a way that can really take us to the next level. So, societal and cultural influences, societal norms and cultural expectations can impose limitations on what we believe is possible for us. So, here are some examples of societal and cultural expectations that can create limiting beliefs. Societal expectations: gender roles. Men should be tough and not show emotions. Women should prioritize family over career. At one time, something like that might have been true, because many years ago, and definitely in the early part of the 20th century, women married at 21 years old or younger. And that was because they were marrying someone to be taken care of financially and to be taken care of in every other way. And in many ways, men owned their wives. They owned their children at that time. And that's how it was looked at. But really since the latter part of the 20th century, when the 60s came around and you started seeing a lot of the mores change. Then what happened? You started seeing more experimental drugs came into the view. But many of the drugs early on were not as dangerous as they are today. Let's put it that way. So you got to be much more careful with drugs today than you had to be back then. But here's also something to think about, that who you are in your head also depends on that behavior pattern. And I should get into it, but I really don't want to do that right now because I think it's more important that we get through today's session. But that can be something that we talk about in another session. Success metrics. Success means having a high-paying job and material wealth. A college degree is the only path to a successful career. And we can see today with the internet that that's not true. That people, even in high school, can go and start a business and be successful. You're too old to start a new career, or you're too young to be a leader. You need to look a certain way to be attractive. Cultural expectations, family obligation. You must follow the family business or career path, marriage and relationships. You should be married by a certain age, or your worth is defined by your relationship status. You may maintain a certain image to uphold the family's or your community's honor. It's better to conform than to stand out, or individuality is frowned upon. Well, and I want to get a little bit into that because each of us are unique and meant to be successful at different things. And there is no set pattern. The idea here is to find out what you're good at and do it. Career choices. Certain professions are more respectable than others. These societal and cultural expectations can create limiting beliefs by imposing rigid definitions of success, behavior, and worth, often leading to individuals to doubt their own abilities and aspirations. Past failures and negative experiences. And we don't realize that if you look at a failure as a learning experience, it should be something that you understand better, and it helps you understand that you definitely can overcome this. Past setbacks can create a fear of failure, leading to developed beliefs that we are incapable of succeeding. When we understand where these beliefs come from, we can start to challenge and change them. Here are some examples of past setbacks that can create a fear of failure and lead to the development of limiting beliefs. Academic setbacks. Failing an important exam. I'm not smart enough to succeed in school. Not getting into a desired college or program. I'll never achieve my career goals. Struggling with a particular subject. I'm just not good at math or sciences or languages. Well, and this is something that I need to get into because I think that many a times teachers just don't realize how they can be setting up a child for failure instead of looking at them and understanding that we all learn differently. That generally in the classroom to reach everyone. They teach in one set way, a cookie cutter way. But no one learns in a cookie cutter way, because some people learn auditory by verbal, some learn by listening, some learn by seeing and reading, and then there's others who learn by actually taking that knowledge and applying it to what they're supposed to be doing. And that's where I excelled. My grades never showed what I was truly capable of, simply because growing up with cerebral palsy, it affects how the brain processes information. Therefore, to expect me to read something and practice it and then come back and take a test on it, that's not how I learned. But if you gave me that information and let me apply it to what I was supposed to be doing, then I excelled. So you can't look at your academics in a cookie cutter way, just like you can't look at anything in a cookie cutter way. Now, professional setbacks, getting passed over for promotion. I'm not good enough to advance in my career. Losing a job or being laid off. I'm not capable of holding down a stable job. Starting a business that failed. I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Well, let's look at this too. You know, in so many ways, especially in corporations, they only promote certain people that fit a certain mold. And losing a job or being laid off, you have to recognize it for what it is. Because, and I can tell you this, that I never, in so many ways, the types of jobs that I held were never stable jobs, because they were mostly telemarketing jobs, because I needed that steady income. But at the same time, they never lasted very long. And I remember once I was in a market research company, and they had periods where they had a lot of work, and they had periods where they had no work. And I remember that once, and I was always very good in market research and questioning people and doing surveys, and always got good reviews. Then all of a sudden I got a bad review, and the next thing I know, I was told not to come back in. Well, the best thing to do is, and I always say this, you never go back to the job that you left, because whatever problems you had there before are only going to crop back up. But always remember this, there's always ways to do things. And, you know, when you start a business, you have to really know what your skills are and what your best skills are, and work with them and understand how to work with them. And today, with e-commerce, there's so many ways that you can build a business online. And you can always learn the skills needed to become an entrepreneur, because there is a journey to success. Having a business plan is important because it's your roadmap to success. Personal setbacks, experiencing a breakup or a divorce. I'm not worthy of love or healthy relationships. It's just finding who is that one person that you are meant to be with. Because, and even in relationships, when you're with the person that you're meant to be with, remember this: personalities clash. There are times when you're in bad moods, and you're going to fight, because no relationship is ever perfect. It's not going to be all lovey-dovey every second of the day. And when you have children and their needs come into play, then it's also a test to that relationship. So understanding all of these things, understanding how to build on a relationship and make it work and be willing to interact with each other in a way that shows respect. And I think many a times that's one reason that marriages do break up, because there is no respect from one another or respect to their children. And you just don't realize just how important that is in having family relationships. Dealing with health issues can disrupt life plans. I'll never be able to achieve my dreams. Creative and artistic setbacks. Receiving negative feedback on a creative project. I'm not talented or creative enough. Having a performance go poorly. I'm not meant to be a performer or artist. Struggling to gain recognition for creative work. My work will never be appreciated or valued. Sports and physical activity setbacks. Failing to make a team or achieve a sports goal. I'm not athletic or fit enough. Experience an injury that halts progress. I'll never be able to, to get back to where I was. Performing poorly in a competition. I'm not good enough to compete at a high level. When you look at sports and physical activity, just remember that there are peaks and valleys in anything you do. And I guess the best thing to do is, if you look at college sports and how football in college is the training ground to become a pro, and actually 1% of all the people that play college sports ever go pro. And when you are a pro, you're not always going to compete at the level that you had the year before. Or you may even be better that year than you were the year before. But and this is why even in baseball, they consider hitting a ball 30% of the time is a good prospect. And then anything above that, they're having a very good year. So understanding how different activities, and even though you may have a goal, that you can't look at what you did today or tomorrow or this week or next week, but what's the sum total? Because you may start out really great in spring training, or maybe even very poor in spring training. And then when you get to the season, it depends on the weather too, because that also affects how you play. So remember, there's always everything involved, and you should never take those things to be secondary, and always recognize the importance of how success always happens in a way that is long term, that it is a journey. These setbacks can leave lasting impressions, causing individuals to develop limiting beliefs about their abilities, worth, and potential for success in various areas of their lives. Now, let's dive into this. Strategies for overcoming limiting beliefs. Cognitive restructuring. This involves reframing negative thoughts into positive ones. For example, instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, or I am capable of constantly improving, what you should say rather is, Try saying, I am capable of constantly improving. Positive affirmations and visualizations. And this goes back to the laws of attraction. Regularly affirm positive statements about yourself and visualize your success. This helps to reprogram your subconscious mind, getting setting an action plan. Set realistic, achievable goals and break them down into manageable steps. This helps to build confidence and momentum, building self confidence and self compassion. Celebrate small victories and practice self care and mindfulness. Trust yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. Now, let's look at some real life stories and examples. So, to inspire you, let's hear some real life stories of individuals who have successfully overcome their limiting beliefs. I have a disability, and in a lot of ways, I struggled through an education. And I alluded to this a little bit earlier because it's important to understand that I came from a society where there were no laws that guaranteed people with disabilities the right to an education or employment. That's why I had to eventually become an advocate for my own rights. And in doing so, I'll get into that. But I can tell you this, that I was mainstreamed into the classroom before the term was ever used because once special ed, once the Individual Disability Education Act was enacted in the late 70s, and by then I was in graduate school. And my mother looked at my education not as a means to an end to employment, but just something that would keep me busy because she didn't expect me to go out and work. And I wanted to work. I wanted to do things. But in a lot of ways, she was constantly telling me, you can't live on your own. You can't think for yourself. You can't hold a job. You can't make this. It was always what I couldn't do, not what I could do. So there was no encouragement there. But if you told me I couldn't do something, then what it did was it made me and put me in a position where I was determined to put you wrong. And and when I did go out and get gainful employment, it was with the state, because at least we had the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which addressed employment, but it wasn't enforceable. It wasn't until the Americans with Disabilities Act became law that you had that clause that said that if someone knew and felt they were being discriminated against, they could go to the EEOC or the Department of Justice and file a lawsuit. But then it also had to be something that was provable. And one thing I can tell you is, without getting into a lot of depth about it, is this, that the Paralympics came into existence in 1948. Between 1960 and 1996, usually the host country and host city were willing to bid for the Paralympics separately. But then when the Atlanta was bidding for the Olympics, they refused to bid for the Paralympics. It was the disability community that got together and bid for it. But the neat thing is that the head of the IOC believed in the Paralympics, and then they changed the bylaws so that any host country today who's bidding for one is automatically bidding for both and has to prepare for both. So there has been some changes in how the disability community is treated today, but we still have a long, long way to go. So let's recap some key points that we discussed today. We explored what limiting beliefs are, how to identify those beliefs and the roots for these beliefs, and effective strategies to overcome them. So remember, breaking free from limiting beliefs is a journey, and each step forward is a victory. I encourage you to start working on overcoming your limiting beliefs today. Share your experiences and success stories, and we'll continue exploring personal growth and success. So until next week, keep believing in yourself and take action towards your dreams. And thank you for listening to Breaking Free. I also want to thank you for helping me to kind of cover this in a way that shows people the importance of loving yourself for who you are and accepting yourself for who you are, because this is so important in how we live our lives today, tomorrow, and long into the future. And remember this, I look kind of crooked. Well, that's something because I have no control and it just kind of hangs. And as you can see, I've got a brace on it to support the wrist so that when I sit, I have to consciously be aware of exactly how I look and how I determine things. So, and for me, exercise is important, and it is something that I do on a regular basis, just simply because it improves my mobility and my ability to think. And I'm always doing things that help me when it comes to achieving goals, and understanding that can help you too. And it's a lot of it's because my personality was to be outgoing and outgoing. But understanding where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are and how to adapt is a very important part of how you can succeed. And whether or not you choose to let those limiting beliefs hold you back, or whether you choose to break the barriers and reach far beyond your potential to unlock that potential.